Hello and welcome to part 10 of our Songs of Syx playthrough in the great city of Foremenlore, which has managed to expand quite a bit. We've got our other farming area over here that we're setting up, the irrigation that we're starting to work on. We're just going to worry a little bit about housing. Now, unfortunately, the last episode was a little bit scuffed in terms of the recording, which was a bit of a shame, but hopefully going forward we shouldn't have that issue, and if it happens again, I'll be very, very irritated at myself, so hopefully that won't happen. But yes, so basically what happened in the last episode was we were setting up our woodcutter area over here, we were setting up our other farming area over here, and setting up some more additional houses and a little bit of infrastructure over here as well. We got our food stalls, we got our market. Probably we'll need another food stall on the other side of here, but we'll see how we do with that, especially once we start to expand this out. Probably get some pastures up here as well. So, let's kick off. We're having a little bit of issue with resources, but we do also have our stone miner up and ready. In order to upgrade that, we need a lot of metal. We're not going to get that anytime soon, but we are working away. We still have a surplus of workers, and more importantly, a surplus of research, so we can have a little look and see what we want to do about that. Still upgrading most of our laboratories, so that's fine. If we want to get libraries, that's quite a far way away. That's 8,000 logic. Knowledge, sorry, not logic. I guess you could call it logic as well. Beakers, you know, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to need that in the future. I think we're probably going to get paper making just so we can get this out, and then we can potentially get schools as well. It's 2,000 research, but it will make it so that people are more effective. The education of your citizens really helps you when it comes to making sure that people do certain jobs well. Well, depending on whether or not you do have them go ahead and be educated or indoctrinated. Indoctrinated people do better in terms of raw resources. Educated people just do better with refining and making things. So we'll kind of see how we do with that. Charcoal are still working. We're getting a decent amount of wood coming in from all the forests we're cutting. We're actually pretty much building that wood cutter, so we're going to need more people in order to work with that. But that means we are now, in terms of basic resources, in terms of our stone, in terms of our wood, we don't have to worry about setting people to chop down trees manually anymore, which is always nice. It's going to take a little while for that to be finished, but that's absolutely fine. And in terms of our tools, we're actually getting a fairly decent tool stockpile. That was the other big thing we did last episode, is we made it so that we have a lot of tools being used. The tools obviously help increase the efficiency of whatever is being upgraded. And speaking of upgrades, what do we need for this? 32, come on, can we get that? Yes, there we go. Perfect. So that's upgraded another laboratory. We're going to get a bunch more science coming in now from our two laboratories. They're both level 1s. Now, obviously, the more things that you unlock, the more your laboratories have to work on catch up, and that's why we want that that paper maker to then start making paper for us to eventually get a library, so that they can be in charge of the keeping of the knowledge, while our laboratories are there to just get us more knowledge. And we might start to increase the efficiency of some of our guys, maybe upgrade some of our farms, that kind of thing. But looking at it going, it seems like our farms here are starting to work. That's great. That means we're going to be getting a bunch more grain, bunch more fruit here as well. How much is it expecting us to get? 156 fruit. That's not too bad. Hopefully have to rely a little bit less on our imports for that, with that kind of fruit coming in. Something we can hopefully do. We also upgraded one of these water pumps, and we can't upgrade the other one because we don't quite have enough steel, so we should keep that in mind. This is getting degraded, so we do actually need to build up another janitor. Good job, we checked. So yeah, we'll grab the janitor. We'll make sure that it is definitely being built not with mud, but instead with stone. And where could we slap this on? We could potentially slap this in over here, but I think probably actually just so it's nearer to here, we'll put it here, and we'll put a warehouse up here as well. And we got a couple of people moving in, which is very, very nice. So just most of the food vendors, I imagine, a couple of the grain farmers and the vegetable farmers, yeah, they're moving in. We'll slowly start to build up these houses as the stone starts to roll on in, which it will do soon enough. Hey, so our neighbor have come back. They're going to offer us a bunch of rations, some money. You know what? We're going to accept that. We might as well. There's not really any downside. We don't care too much about the reputation. In case it wasn't so obvious, once we have built up to a good enough size that we can field a regular army, we will be taking over the neighbors to us, because then that will let us unlock trading partners further on, and it's always nice to have other regions as well to give you stuff. Okay, so the woodcutter is done. We're going to massively reduce the number of people that are working in it. Probably only have 2 at the moment. We've got a decent stockpile of wood, and we can just add more people on when we get the number of people coming in high enough. And other than that, I probably want to build up some kind of like cotton farm potentially over here. That could be very, very nice. So let's try and do that. So we'll make sure that's got a little bit there. It's going to be slightly ski-whiff just because of the river, but that's fine. Yep, we'll build it up like so. A little bit ski-whiff, that's all right. It's going to use up a little bit of our cotton to do that. It's obviously going to take some workers to do that as well. But with these larger fields that are better irrigated, we should be seeing much bigger harvests than we were for all of these little small fields over here. That's the plan, anyway. Speaking of plans, how are we doing? We've got plenty of tools, so we could even start giving out tools to our farmers. If we give out 1 load of tools, it's 15. Yep, so we'll give out 2 things to these guys, 2 to the fruit farms. We'll also give 2 to the veg. It's kind of blown straight through our stockpiles of tools, but that's fine. We'll give 2 to the con guys as well. We want to make sure we're getting these raw resources in now, especially given that we don't have the biggest numbers of workers available. But people are overall pretty happy, so we cannot complain. The stone's starting to really come in. We've got our janitor up. That should hopefully deal with the degradation over here. Indeed it has. Fantastic. And we'll probably want to build up another warehouse over here if we can. If we've got a logistics, get another warehouse. Make sure that we're definitely building on stone. Indeed we are. Good, good, good. Yep, so we're just going to build up a little small warehouse over here, probably as big as the janitor. I think that's probably good enough. And we'll build up some crates, and this is literally just going to be here to store our food stockpiles as much as it can. So we'll get that there, we'll get that there. And we'll probably put another one over there. We'll probably put a small road leading to the west over here to then link up to this larger road. And that should be good. We could probably also store some additional things like stone and some of our wood here as well, just to improve our stockpiles a little bit on top of that. In terms of food, we've got 5 days worth. I think a little bit of that will be coming from the rations and the imported vegetables and fruit that we have, but our fish are still doing pretty well. This fishery is actually pretty degraded, so we probably need to get another janitor as well. Let's actually just copy that straight up. Make sure it's also on stone. And we will probably build, I mean, I don't really want to build that there because it's going to be on top of the iron ore, but we could probably put it over here. And that should cover pretty much everything down here. If a building is degraded, then there'll be a slight malus to production. It's a multiplier, so it is very much slowing down the amount of fish that we're getting, especially for something like this, which is our largest fishery that we have available. So having some additional people repair it to keep it working as fast as possible is definitely a good idea. Speaking of good ideas, probably what we could do just to make sure we get a little bit more rock is if we tell people over here to clear these rock, then all of these guys over here on the fruit farms, they're just going to, when they're done with the fields, they're going to start moving that over, and that will help us out quite a lot. And in terms of our grain's doing pretty well. Our bakery is doing all right. It is going through things quite a lot. And we could, now that we have a little bit more of a stable amount of coal coming in, we can probably think about changing this over to coal fire ovens. It just means that it operates a little bit faster, which is always nice. So yeah, let's change that over. It means that we're going to be using less of our initial wood and more of our coal, but our charcoalers should be able to keep up with that. Why are you getting degraded as well? You should be within range. Indeed you are. I wonder if it's missing out on stone because we don't have it in the stockpile. That's potentially what it is. But no matter. Hopefully our janitors will be able to keep up. We have got it so that they are able to get additional people. 5 is the maximum they can have in there, but we could always build another table if we need to. I think if we have a bunch of janitors, then that should go okay. So yeah, we're burning through our coal a little bit more, but we are making some more bread, so that's always nice. Or at least we're making bread quicker. Are we looking for the gladiator pit and the fight pit? We got some Bretonians fighting. Good stuff. Don't injure yourselves too much, lads. We don't have any sort of law enforcement yet. We should potentially think about transforming some of this leather into some leather armor. And we do actually have a slaver about, and we've got a decent amount of money. I would be inclined to buy a bunch of Bretonians, actually. How many can I afford? I think 7 of these guys is probably a good shout at the cheapest ones, other than the Garthemi, but we don't. The Garthemi are just useless unless you want to use them for your Baltic crawlers, which is a really good way of getting meat, but Kryptonians are good. They'll keep our food supplies going, and it makes it so that our majority human population can work at things they're slightly better at, which is usually making things. You can see here that we've got a bunch of herders just now. If we can get the Kryptonians doing that instead, that is worth it. Will slightly annoy the Kryptonian people who live in our city. They don't like the fact that quite a few of their guys are slaves, but that's fine. But funnily enough, the humans do like the fact that we have slaves. I can't remember what the Dondorians do. The Dondorians do as well. They're quite happy the fact that other people are slaves. The Kryptonians, they're not so chuffed about that. But if they get too unhappy, we can always just do some mass arrests later on. The slow slide into despotism. Isn't it wonderful? And how are we doing out over here? So we've got our janitor done. We're clearing out stuff for our warehouse. Good stuff. And we need to get more cotton. So cotton imports might be on the cards for us to use our money. Let's have a little look at our research. So yes, we can get schools now. I think that's probably a good idea. Let's get schools and we can worry about a paper maker. Especially once we get some more of our citizens in. That'd be great. And the fact as well that we have our hunter over here is going to be helping us get some more meat. We will probably set up our hunter elsewhere. That's one of our earlier buildings that we kind of expanded out towards, so it doesn't quite fit in with the aesthetics of the village, unfortunately. What we're going to do, we're still 5 people short, which is a little bit of a bother. We don't have the longest in terms of supplies, in terms of food, which is also a little bit worrying, but what we do. And tell these guys over here just to fell these trees, just so there's wood available around them, just so we don't have to cart it all the way over from the main area. And let's actually tell them to build out this road as well. We'll get a nice paved road. We'll keep it moving out over here. I think this will probably be the line where the pastures will be. I think it's far enough away from the river that we're not really going to be pumping water up there. And let's get a nice path leading up to it to meet it. And there we go, get another one over here as well. Always nice when you manage to get things looking pretty good. There we go, good stuff. Some nice paved roads about around our well. Does use up a little bit of stone, but our humans like it, the Dondorians like it as well, so anything to keep them happy while they're kind of marching about is good for us. We actually have a considerable amount of cut stone, which is good. Potentially even think about selling more of that if we can. Yeah, we could actually tell them just to grab that from this warehouse, but only if we have, say, above 50%. Means we'll still have a little bit for building, but we will get some more money. And what it seems is we're not getting that many immigrants anymore, which is a little bit annoying because we do want to have some additional people come in where possible. I think as well the fact that we've got another 10 folk working as janitors doesn't help either, but that should be fine. Can we upgrade this other water pump? Indeed we can, so we will. That'll save us up 2 of our workers at the very least, so that is always something. And our farm's just working away. Can't complain, can't complain. Let us think as well about building up our water here. We could potentially build up another canal leading up. It's going to be quite costly in terms of stone, but it means that we're going to fertilize the sort of interior part of the fields as well. And there we go. Oh, temperatures have risen to an extreme level today. Okay, we'll have to keep that in mind. Just to make sure that nobody dies. Somebody might die, but we've got pretty good well coverage and we're right next to the river, so we shouldn't be too bad in terms of that. People probably are complaining about the fact they can't really get good wells, so let's upgrade the hearth and the well over here. Just so they're getting higher level of service. Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. The warehouse getting constructed, we're slowly getting the wood together in order to finish up the construction of that. That will help a lot as well. How are you guys doing up here, Mr. Stone Miners? You guys are okay. We do have 1 Garth Army slave, so I guess we could have got more slaves. They're actually fairly good at mining, so we could use them in our stone mines, and he hasn't been shanked yet by a not so happy Dondorian who's seen him. So that's good for him, I guess. Over here, we should potentially think about building up a lavatory as well. That's probably a good shout. How are we doing in terms of homes? We're still a little bit behind, so let's just think about how we're going to expand this out over here. we'll probably be building up another house over here like so. And then also that gives us a good place to work out how we want our lavatory to look. So we probably want our lavatory to be like here. And take up the space of 2 houses like that. And we'll build a couple of latrines and a basin to go along with it. There we go. Perfect. Is it the prettiest? No. But it's also a toilet. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. Again, it's going to take a bit of stone. It's going to take a bit of wood. We are slowly but surely running out of wood as well. So we need more people to work over here in the woodcutter. But until then, we'll just tell them to keep felling down trees in their spare time. We might as well. Now that we have a woodcutter, we can be a little bit more blasé about cutting down these trees as well. We have a secure amount of wood that we're always going to get. These trees will be chopped down by the woodcutter and then replanted. So that's going to be our source of wood for just now. If you do deforest everything, you try and put a woodcutter down on the places you just deforested, trees don't really come back. So keep that in mind before you start just cutting down large swathes of the forest. Say like if we wanted to expand out our woodcutter over here, then if we cut all these trees down, it'll take a long time for them to come back. A couple of years at the very least. Speaking of trees, we don't have them here because of our fruit farm. I am tempted to build an orchard because I do like the fruit. Being humans, we need the fruit in order to breed our lovely little babies. But they take a long time to work. They need workers the entire time. And then they usually just get the issue of infestations as soon as they're about ready to start producing. And even then, when they do start producing, I'm always a little bit disappointed by how much they make. They don't seem like they make that much. How are we doing over here? Yep, you're pulling that pottery, or so I hope. And we should be making a good bit of money out of that as well. As soon as we get some more workers, we'll set up that other... In fact, we could potentially start building that now. We've got the pottery there. It's going to be a temporary thing. Do we demolish something over here? I don't think we demolish anything over here. I think instead what we just do is we say, hey, let's get another tailor. Put it next to the graveyard. We'll just have a small temporary tailor here. Fairly modest. Make sure that it's got 100% efficiency. Yeah, we'll just have that many benches. We'll get a little bit of an auxiliary station. Like so. There we go. 100% efficiency. Reduce the storage down. Nice and small. And then we'll put that there. And their whole job is going to be make us armor, so then we can start putting down some guard posts, make people a little bit happier about the law and order inside our city. Speaking of which, let's have a little look at the law. So we could start building things like stocks and stockades. So I think we should. We could build a very large one right here in the center of town. I think that makes sense. We'll build one there. We have the furniture and the metal available, so we will. We already have our first part of our law, which is our stockade, which is basically where we just hold the people until they're processed. So we need to build ourselves up a dungeon, which we could always put it near the noble. I think that's kind of funny. Yeah, let's put it near the noble, kind of near this little square kind of area here that we have. It doesn't have to be too big because, I mean, probably needs to be a bit bigger than that. Maybe make it the size of these. Yeah, we'll just do like a whole row of housing like here. And then we can put down a couple of cells here. Yeah, probably 2 is fine for now. And then if we really need to, we can always expand this out and create more. It's going to cost us a little bit in terms of stone. It's going to cost us a little bit in terms of iron, but I think that's fine. We get our dungeons together. We get our stockade together. We also need to get some kind of slaver as well because of how we're going to do our laws. And then we need to start worrying about guard posts. But we have the wood. We have the polished stone. We just need the leather armor in order to make them. So that's what we're going to do. So yeah, let's just build a small slaver. Yeah, we'll just put it right next to the nobles. This is not a commentary on the noble themselves, but maybe this is how they made their money. There we go. So this is going to cost us a little bit in terms of iron and stone and a little bit of furniture, but there we go. This is us starting to get our law and order in the city together. Speaking of law, we should have a little look at what our current settings are. So as it stands, I don't really like to execute people, especially my main race, if we can. We haven't got any punishment set for our humans now because we put the slider down. We could exile them. I don't like losing people. We can send them to be killed in the arena, which does give it a little bit of enjoyment for some of the races and also acts as a pretty good deterrent. We don't want to enslave our own race because they are not going to like that. So we're either going to send them to the dungeon with a small chance of being killed in the arena, but probably just going to be imprisoned. For our Crotonians, we're going to probably imprison them. We're not going to kill them. I don't really like killing folk. With the potentially the exception of the Garthemi, we're going to send them all to be killed in the arena or be sent as slaves. For the Dondorians, they don't really like being slaves. The Crotonians, we're just going to actually just enslave everybody because they're not really going to fight back. We're going to send them to the dungeons, or we're going to send them to be killed in the arena. Probably with a little bit more of an imprisonment. This means that we're going to have more people that are going to be able to watch good fights in the fighting pits, but it also acts as a nice deterrent against some of the crimes. There we go. Good stuff. What do we miss? So we still are building up these homes. Good stuff. Yeah, we need some more stuff over here. Alright, so we've got this warehouse done. Let's get him upgraded. So over here we're going to be storing probably some animals. We're going to be storing a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit. Not many mushrooms, maybe a little bit of fish. We'll see if he needs it. We'll make sure we're stockpiling some wood and some stone, and we're already starting to run out of some space. Let's start stockpiling herbs, because we're going to want to start to make us some rations in the future, and we'll get some more grain space, and we'll get some cotton space as well. Perfect, there we go, and that's that entire warehouse filled up. All the crates are being used, but that should make it so that all of this stuff down here is getting collected up, and we should see a nice big bump to our days of food time. That should make people a bit happier, and should help us get a few more citizens in as well. Speaking of citizens, how are we doing in terms of our research? Yeah, it's doing alright, it's kind of holding. So once we get the time together, how are we doing over here? We're still making up that tailor. Let's see if there's any more rocks we can clear kind of in the general vicinity, especially around here, especially around the areas where we have the farms, just because they'll do that nice and quick. As soon as they're not planting anything, they'll just come along and they'll just clear out all these rocks. And that's good for us. It means we've got more rocks to get. We could bump up the number of people we have inside the stone mine, and in that kind of respect we could give them some tools, even though we can't upgrade them because we don't quite have the metal yet. So let's actually upgrade the amount of tools they have. That should massively increase the amount of stone they are producing. You can see there as they're getting the tools, that's jumped up another about 7-ish. It's okay, given that the deposits here aren't very good. You know, it's enough to work with at the very least, so that's always good. Now, how are we doing in terms of our construction? So our slaver is completed. Good stuff. We are nearing our tailor finishing up, so that they'll be able to start building up our leather stuff as well. We do just desperately need more people here. That is the big shame. That's the big shame. We might actually just reduce the number of people working in these farms. I think maybe 6 is a bit too much. We'll bump it down to 5 and see kind of how we do. But we should be getting a lot better stockpiles of things like grain, etc. And that should help us out quite a bit. And yeah, with the reduction of numbers of staff there, that has helped us out. Have we finished up this canal? No, we have not. That's still getting worked on as well. That's fine. People around here are busy. That's the main thing. We're getting our lavatory built up. We're getting those other houses built up. We do need more houses, which is a bit of a shame. So we can't really fit in 2 of these here. Do we maybe just fit in a couple of houses? Ah, that's so close to perfect. The apartments are also not going to be perfect. That is very, very annoying. That's going to annoy my OCD again. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. Can we do 2 apartments back by back? Let's see. You know what? That's close enough. Yeah, there we go. A little bit smaller houses just around the back there. Just so we can fill up with a little bit more people. I don't usually like to build apartments too much because obviously they require walls, they require resources in order to build. And they don't house that many people, but they're good if you have somewhere like here where you're likely to have a bunch of like random slaves. And you can see they only hold 3 people to the longhouse's maximum of 10. So I don't really like them. They just cost quite a bit in terms of resources to make for not as much of a gain back. But it's always nice to mix it up a little bit. And we'll try and make things a little bit less blocky and a little bit more pretty down the line. Here we go. So this tailor is done. We haven't unlocked the recipe yet to make that kind of armor, so we'll do that now. Yep, there we go. Makeshift armor. Fantastic. So let's change that recipe over. You guys start making up some armor. Let's make sure that we have this set up inside here. So yeah, we'll start storing that there. Store some weapons here now that we have the crates to do it as well. We'll also start storing up some paper for when we start to make it. And that will be very, very good. Yep, overall, pretty happy with how things are going. We should start to see some armor slowly but surely coming in, and in that respect, we should probably start to think about setting up our guard posts. So these guard posts here, we're just probably going to put them in the middle of the road. You can see here that they, depending on their size, they have much larger ranges of which they can come and help. So we could actually set it up so that it's like over here by this plaza kind of area. In fact, kind of having it here next to the dungeon kind of makes sense in a way. If we bring it across ever so slightly like there. Yeah, probably there, just so we have a bigger road going north. Yeah, I think that's good. And then we can kind of do the same over here. We probably don't need to have it as quite as big over here, and it's really where we're going to be able to fit it in is going to be the issue. Potentially one like over here. I think that's good. Yep, that works for me. Kind of next to the benches there. And then we're also going to want a guard post over here, kind of in our newer area. And we'll put that over next to the warehouse, like so. Good. So with that, people will be recruited to become guards. When they become guards, they have a little patrol. As it stands now, as you can see, we have a lot of crime that's going on that is just nothing's been done about because we don't have any guardsmen. So having some guys around to guard that will help out. And that should make people a little bit happier, hopefully. Fingers crossed, anyway. How are we doing over here? Speakers, yep. So we probably want to build some more speakers as well, especially over here. So we'll have a kind of like town crier over here next to the warehouses. And I think we have another speaker down over here somewhere. We do indeed over there. We probably want to build another one. We'll build one just here next to the stage that we have here. I am kind of tempted to build another stage up over here as well, just to make sure our services are doing. How are our access to services? Everybody's pretty happy with the hearths, the speakers, the lavatories, the markets. The wells they're not so happy with. That's something to keep in mind. Have we... Yeah, it's because we haven't fully upgraded them. They are at least all upgraded level 1, but we need mechanisms in order to make them level 2. And that will make everybody much happier with the service they're getting. So we got our 11 tailors working. They're working away at basically just using up these hides that we have over here, which is good. And we should really think about making up a herb farm. We have a little bit of herbs, 48 herbs actually, which isn't too bad. And we could make a very, very, very large herb farm over here. Yes, I kind of like that. How much is that going to cost? 110 herbs. Ooh. Yeah. Well, it's going to be a... Yeah, fertility is low. I know, it's fine. We're going to put a canal in there to improve that fertility quite a bit. So that's fine. And we can actually see that in terms of our food, we are doing quite a bit better. I mean, a lot of that is due to imports, but when you make as many high quality goods as we do, you know, you might as well export the produced resources rather than relying on raw exports. You really struggle to kind of keep up with the demands if you just use that, especially when you're using a lot of it for your own people. So yeah, things are going pretty well. We've got our turnkeys in our dungeon, we've got our slavers in our slaver bit over here, the stockade. As soon as we start to get people arrested, some people come over here to get a stockade and get, you know, tomatoes thrown at them. Like you used to see in all the films. And what actually happened, obviously. And it acts as a nice kind of like deterrent to more crime, especially once we get these done. Yeah, we need more leather armors, I know. Hopefully we are making them fairly quickly. It does say we're making 7. We could upgrade this, something like this. Appoint the Dundorian workers halt all work and our tailors. Okay, Dundorians, please don't be so mad. I was kind of hoping that we would get these guard posts up this episode, but maybe I'll be a little bit tricked. I mean, we might get this big one done. We've already made 19 leather armors, which is always good. Have we shipped anything over here? Shipped 6 over to here, so we are doing fairly well. And even if, you know, some of our workers are on strike, and in fact it looks like most of our workers are on strike, they'll come off strike soon enough, that's fine. How are we doing in terms of cotton over here? Seems like we're doing okay. We just need more cotton over here. And we just don't even have enough cotton for the weaver. Maybe we need to build up another import depot. That could be a shout. Could be a shout. Indeed, we don't have any gems either. Alright, let's build up another import depot over here and we'll start importing more cotton too, just to keep our weavers working and our clothiers working as well. And we do need a little bit of fabric to keep them coming in. For our pastures, we've already given them... Well, we haven't given the tools to our aurochs, so we'll do that because we've got a little bit of stockpile. We could give our cotton farmers more in terms of their... tailors finally stopped being on strike. We could give them more tools. I'm not sure how much that's worth it. But we can see... We've already given all to our stone mine. Let's actually give out some tools to our woodcutters as well. We can give them a lot of tools, which I think is fine because it'll make it though so these two guys actually work very, very quickly. And you can see actually we have full wood stockpiles. That's great to see. Charcoalers, so you've already got the maximum number of tools. We could think about upgrading you, but we need 52 metal. We're not quite there at the moment, but maybe in the future. We don't need to give our smithy anymore. Our metal smelter already has the maximum. So in terms of tools for that kind of stuff, I think that's us pretty much done, which is fine. That's actually kind of what we want to be. Have we given out? No, we haven't even given out any to our fisheries. So let's actually give out all of the tools we can to our fisheries. This is going to massively reduce our stockpile, but we should start to see a lot more fish coming through. How much we're producing over here? Nearly 40 fish a day. Now this has been repaired, so it has no degradation anymore. It's been repaired, it's been given a bunch of tools. It's nearly making 40 fish every single day, which is great. That's going to massively improve our food stockpiles if we can start to get that in. Speaking of tools, we've already given it to our bakeries, so this bakery was kind of small and temporary. We will probably make a big baker's guild because we need bread, and humans of course absolutely adore bread as well. It's one of their favorite foods. That and eggs, meat and mushrooms. So the meat is going to be a little bit of a problem. Mushrooms we could potentially start thinking about building, but they're quite intensive in terms of resources in order to build. So we'll maybe wait a little bit for that. How are we doing over here? Guard post still being constructed. You guys still working away. That's fine. At least you're working at 100%. And we're slowly but surely chewing through our hide reserves as well. And at the end of the day, any kind of leather armor we make is going to be useful for when we can make up our first militia, because we're going to make sure that they have a decent stockpile of stuff as well. This is all wooden walls. Why are you a wooden wall? This is ridiculous. We could think about redoing this one. So yeah, let's do that. We'll make sure that you are stone building. It's going to cost them some stone. That's fine. Good stuff. And then let us go to our structures and we make sure that we convert this to a stone building as well. Anything that isn't going to be converted. There we go. Good stuff. So that lavatory is going to be out of action for just now, but it's being reworked so that it's made out of stone. And that should make everybody who's using it a little bit happier. So cannot complain. These guys all still have wooden ceilings, but you know, there's nothing you can do about that. And yeah, I think we're all right for now at least. Well, I mean, we do have the stone, we just don't really have the workers in order to kind of redo a lot of things at the same time, especially if we want to try and make sure that we get these guard posts up, because these are going to eat into our workers just a little bit more as well. But with the introduction of some law and order into Foremenlore, we can finally sort of say that we are becoming a small town. I mean, to be honest, we're doing okay. We've got nearly 400 people. We just need a little bit more. We could give out another big old bribe. Say, hey, guys, come work for us. There we go. Costs a lot of money, about 5,000 of our hard-earned money, but we want more people. So please, come in. Come in. In terms of religion, are we running out of graveyard space? A little bit. We maybe want to think about building another graveyard somewhere. People will obviously be asking for crypts as well, but I think we'll kind of hold off on that. We'll get these guard posts set up, and then I think after that we'll start thinking about our paper making, and then from our paper making we will then also start thinking about our schools, because we need to start thinking about our education. And when it comes to schools, they require a little bit in terms of weave stuff in order to build up rugs, to build up their efficiency. But the main thing they require is paper. So paper is a must for that. We're going to need paper as well for when we start to use our administration too. So we'll have to have a little think about that as well. But overall, how are we doing over here? Your turnkeys probably shouldn't be doing anything unless we finished up this guard post. Ah, we have. Perfect. So the first guards are here. Great. So we can see here the little heat map of how much coverage we're getting. So we're getting a lot of coverage over the sort of southern area of our city. Say town, village, however you want to describe it. And once we get that, and then we also get this other guard post up, we should have a pretty good coverage over the main kind of residential areas within our city. And that should also improve everybody's mood a little bit as well. We've actually made an arrest, which is good. Fantastic. So we've actually arrested a human. What was he? He was a murderer. Okay, so that's our first guy. We managed to finally catch that murderer. Good job, everybody. Good job. So what's his imprisonment? He's going to be imprisoned. Okay. We could just send him to be killed in the arena. Yes, let's do that. If you want to be a murderer, go murder somebody in the fighting pit. See how you do, pal. Yep, and they're already dead. Good job, gladiators. There we go. Justice was done. And actually, to be fair, if we look at the government, we should see now that because we are actually implementing some kind of law, people are going to be a lot happier about it. And we should see that across all the races as well. That we're getting a slight amount of boost from the law in our city going up because we're actually starting to arrest criminals that were running around rampant before, which I imagine was actually kind of hurting us a little bit as well. And would you look at that, look how much grain we've got. We've got full grain storages now. So it seems like so that canal is not quite done, but it's getting close to done. That should massively improve the fertility in these kind of areas for these farms, which is really good. So hopefully we can keep that going. Let us upgrade this charcoaler so that it is working a little bit more. So we're producing more charcoal to then produce more metal, to then produce more tools, to keep everybody running lickety-split. We haven't got the tech nor the steel to upgrade the bakery. That's fine. Yeah, you really want to upgrade your inputs before your outputs, in my mind, unless you're willing to, or you have the workforce to expand out your inputs to match the upgraded outputters. In this case, the input would be the charcoaler, so that's why we upgraded that, so we made sure we had enough charcoal, so the bakery can work at pretty full capacity as much as possible. We could actually add in, let's add an additional person. We don't have the people, but we can kind of, you know, we can lose a couple of workers from a few of our places in order to get a little bit more efficiency. Speaking of efficiency, what could we do in terms of improving our efficiency just a little bit? We could get another bakery specialization, which does make it so they work a little bit faster. It's not that expensive either. Or we can get the refinement for the metal stuff. We shall see. We shall see. I am tempted. I'm also not tempted. We do also want to think about maybe producing up some hospitals, but we don't have the opium for that at the moment because they do require that in order to keep them functional. And in terms of our population, we're still a little bit behind on workers, but I think that's probably because, yep, that guard post has been completed. And with that, we can see we've got really nice coverage over the majority of our city. Probably want to think about building another one over here just so it completely covers that stuff there. And then maybe some more stuff over here, but we'll see about that in the future. And we should have this other guard post up fairly shortly too. And that should help us out quite a bit. Okay, and looking at the time, I think that's probably enough, and with that save, good enough as well. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed the Songs of Syx, and fingers crossed the recordings actually work this time. That'd be very good. But if you've enjoyed this, let me know down in the comments. We'll try and get you added in as another noble where we can. And if you want to see these videos when they first go up, because I usually upload them maybe like a day or two before they actually get released, consider becoming one of the members of the Burger Band for early access to videos as soon as I upload them, and for some other additional benefits. But main thing is, thank you very much for watching, hope you've enjoyed it, and until next time, take care.